Robots took my podcast, man.
It was a place where a man could start over, where a fortune could be made. They say every town has a story. Tombstone has a legend.
Who is he?
That's Wyatt Earp. Made a name for himself as a peace officer.
I heard of you.
I'm retired.
You must be Doc Holliday. You retired too?
Not me. I'm in my prime.
Hollywood Pictures presents
The only real law around here is the Cowboys.
the story of Wyatt Earp.
The first time in our lives we got a chance to stop wandering and finally be a family.
If we're gonna have a future in this town, it's gotta have some law and order.
What do you want, Ringo?
I want your blood. I want your soul. I want them both right now.
You shot your brother.
Now the time has come for justice,
Guess maybe you better swear me in.
and he has to live up to his reputation one last time.
None of your problem, Doc. You don't have to mix up in this.
That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
In a battle
The last charge of Wyatt Earp and his immortals.
at the OK Corral,
Oh my God.
the West would never forget. Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Dana Delaney, Powers Booth, Michael Bean, Bill Paxton, Jason Priestley, Sam Elliott, and Charlton Heston.
You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me!
Justice is coming to Tombstone.
All right. Law don't go around here on this podcast, Law Dog.
Jordan, this podcast is in its prime.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our podcast. The robots took my podcast. I am Jordan.
And I'm Anthony.
And today we are talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, the 1993 Western Tombstone, starring Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Michael Rooker, Michael Biehn, a lot of Michaels.
All-star cast, man. Just
all-star cast, Pee-wee.
Yeah, everybody you could grab in the 90s, it seemed almost.
Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott, geez, I mean, Powers Booth, God, you name it, even Frank fucking Stallone, which there's a reason for that, I'm sure of. I can explain later on. Anyway.
Yeah, and Jordan, I think this is the first actual Western that we've done on this podcast.
Yeah, and really, this Western itself got me into Westerns, I think, a little more. Like, because I saw it in my youth. I saw it in the theater when it came out. I don't want to say how old I was, but...
Yeah, every time Jordan tells a story about a movie he saw in the theater, it's like, me and my best gal were there, and we were watching, I remember it like yesterday, we saw Gone with the Wind in the theater. It's like, Jesus Christ, Jordan, how old are you, man?
I remember the taste of deviled eggs at that theater. They were fine. They were simply divine. Anyway, fresh Miracle Whip they used.
That sounds gross. I can't imagine eating deviled eggs in the theater. But anyway, Jordan, so this was a big film of its era, and it's brought to us by Hollywood Pictures. And Jordan,
Hollywood Pictures.
What is Hollywood Pictures for everybody?
Oh, basically another arm of Disney. Just Disney's way of saying, we don't want to release an R-rated movie with mouse ears on it.
Yeah, we talked about Dick Tracy a while back, and that was released by Touchstone.
Touchstone Pictures, yeah, another arm that was basically PG-13 and R-rated Disney movies, once again.
Hollywood Pictures came out with, I guess they released Encino Man, The Sixth Sense, just a ton of, yeah. So anyway, movie was directed by George P. Cosmatos, allegedly.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you want me to cover that right now, but a note about that, actually. The movie started as a Kevin Jarre directed movie. Kevin Jarre wrote the screenplay as well. Kevin Jarre also wrote the Oscar-winning movie Glory that came out in 1990. starring a younger Matthew Broderick and Carrie Elwes. And Denzel Washington won a friggin' Oscar for that movie, by the way. Anyway, no small potatoes here, Kevin Jarre. Kevin Jarre, history buff screenwriter guy. And this came from him apparently not getting to do, he was going to do Dracula. And then he found out Coppola was doing Dracula or was going to do Dracula. So that was off. And then when he got hired, he was only shooting for 4 weeks until they decided that he wasn't quite cut out for it, the producers and such, and some of the actors.
Yeah, he hadn't directed anything at this point, had he?
No, not at all. Never. And apparently he wanted to direct a John Ford type vision of Tombstone, or even a David Lean, if you will. He wanted a grand vision. So he was taking too long with things, i.e. essentially, he was waiting for the sun to rise, waiting for the sun to set, waiting for the clouds to go gray kind of thing, apparently. And some of the actors could tell he hadn't had experience as well, unfortunately. That was another part of it. So yeah, the thing was, after he was decided to be replaced, they didn't have a director in place for about 3 to 4 weeks after that, I think even.
Yeah, wow.
So who even directed the footage up to there? Because I think they were still trying to move, but they were kind of chugging along, so to speak. And they hired George Cosmatos because Kurt Russell was taking the reins of production at this point because he did care about this movie. He wanted to play Wyatt Earp. I mean, hell, he has a son named Wyatt as it is. He obviously is a Wyatt Earp fan, so to speak. So this comes out of a conversation between Kurt Russell and his old Tango and Cash buddy, Sly Stallone. And Kurt Russell basically telling Sly, I don't know what to do. I wish I could find a guy who I can just give a shot list to every night and tell him what to do. And that won't take too long, on a daily basis, that will get things moving. And Sly Stallone replied with, well, you want George Cosmatos. Hey, that's the same relationship I had with him on Rambo First Blood Part 2. Literally, that's how it happens. It sounds hilarious that I'm telling the story the way it is, but that's how it happened, apparently. And he hired him. He was hired because of that, from what I understand. But George Cosmatos was a real gentleman, if you were.
A paper director, as it were.
Yeah, he's kind of he added more guns to the piece, apparently. And apparently he was very good, mostly with the cast. But if you were an extra crew member, he was an asshole, apparently. Yeah. He treated you like shit, apparently. And just talked to you like you were nothing, like you were garbage. According to Michael Biehn, played Johnny Ringo in the movie as well.
Yeah, so we'll get more into that later. We'll see how he did here. And just to note, William Fraker, Academy Award nominated cinematographer, gives this movie just a wonderful, visceral feel.
Yeah. No small potatoes, Bill Fraker. He co-shot Close Encounters. He shot and directed Legend of Lone Ranger in 1981. So no stranger to Westerns.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyways, and also speaking of a John Ford movie, the movie is scored by Bruce Boughton, who really gives it a How the West Was Won kind of feel. This really epic, sweeping Western score.
Yeah, I agree. He's very supportive, very Western sounding, classic Hollywood Western sounding score to the whole, very romantic sounding.
Yeah, and Westerns were, I guess, forgotten by Hollywood for a long time after the 70s. I mean, we had Silverado and some 80s Westerns, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had Man from Snowy River is another one from the 80s I can think of, most notably, but from 1982. But you're right. The Western kind of fell by the wayside. I mean, yeah, the 80s, there was a little bit of a surge. You're right. Silverado, Rustler's Rhapsody was kind of a parody of the whole thing, apparently. And then...
And then we have Unforgiven coming out a year before this.
Yeah, that probably helped, I'm sure.
And just, winning awards right and left. Well, did that win an Academy Award?
It won Best Picture, I thought.
Best Picture, yeah.
I thought Unforgiven, yeah. So that probably helped this movie and helped studios think Westerns might be bankable again. Yeah. So give it all to Clint once again.
Best Picture and Best Director for Clint Eastwood, a friend of the podcast in the sense that we've talked about him before. Not that he's ever heard of this podcast.
The robots took who? What? When? Where? Yeah, we've talked about 2 of your movies, Clint, Magnum Force and Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Remember those? Yes, I remember those movies, but I've never heard your podcast. Who's he, Jack Palance now? Sorry.
So are you giving me a check here? What's going on? Anyway, so this is another 90s attempt at a sweeping epic Western. And it begins kind of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from the 60s in this newsreel exposition where drunken Robert Mitchum is on clearly his first read of the of the narration is talking about the post-Civil War migration west. Cattlemen are running the West and taking over, and basically there's a bunch of assholes that are making life hard for good people like Wyatt Earp, who's a retiring lawman who's moving to Tombstone with his buddy Doc Holliday. And
you don't sound enthusiastic.
No, I am. It's what I mean. I'm just joking. There's a lot of exposition. I'm just telling you what the narration is telling us here at the beginning, because the narration doesn't sound enthusiastic because somebody had to wake Robert Mitchum up in the middle of it. He's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. By the way, yes, Tombstone, Arizona, 1847. Was that the right year? I'm sorry. Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday got together, and what did they do again? Were they roommates or something? Who was this? What's this about? Is this the paper chase? What am I doing? That's my best Robert Mitchum, I guess. I'm sorry. that was on the fly, Robert Mitchum, by the way.
And Doc Holliday goes to this small town in Alabama, and he's a doctor. Like, no, that's right. That's wrong. That's the wrong.
And
movie.
so Marty had to go back in time and get Doc from dying in the Old West of 1885. Oh, wrong dialogue.
Off the rails, Robert Mitchum. Can we get someone else in here? What is?
Yeah, I wonder if we'll have yet another thing of many things I'm going to mention later on. I wonder if this is in the archives too. The outtakes from Robert Mitchum's voiceover. God, I hope it's there.
I'd pay good money. I mean, because it's like, can we get Sam Elliott in here for the love of God? He's already on the payroll. I mean, please.
Please put it on the Blu-ray that's going to come out 50 years from now about Tombstone when Disney just releases it out of the archives. Anyway.
So they intersperse some old footage like from back in the day with clips from the movie, grainy and black and white as the
and also old silent footage just to make it more realistic, which I love this I love this sequence though, nevertheless, even though we're poking fun at it.
Yeah, it's a fun way to bring us into this film. Not entirely novel, but fun. And then it mentions that there's these cowboys, this gang called the Cowboys. They're basically like Old West organized crime, Old West mobsters who wear a red sash.
They're like Old West Crips, like that LA gang we heard about, because they have red, they all have like colored gang. That's the way they talk about them. It seems like gang-like, honestly. Yeah. A lot of gang references.
And so then the title is over a group of men riding, which is pretty cool, into a small Spanish town, and sort of a small Mexican town like you'd see in a Peck and Paw movie. Right?
Yeah, this scene's kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Even for a Disney movie.
There's a body count in this movie, folks. I will tell you, man. You can drink every time somebody dies, and you're gonna, toward the end of the movie, you're gonna be struggling like Robert Mitchum to read the narration. I promise.
It would have been hilarious if they had literally like a counter, like that moment in Hot Shots Part 2, the parody film for y'all out there. Anyway, but yeah, just a body counter every time somebody got killed. Ching ching, a number going down, like a little digital counter on the side of the screen.
Yeah, so it promises to be a modern Western, and I think it delivers here because just right off the bat, we get an idea that these cowboys are complete assholes.
Yeah.
And the leader is who, Jordan? Curly Bill Brocious. Who plays this gentleman here?
Oh, Sir Powers Booth. Man, he died not too long ago, too, my God. Yeah. What a great actor. All kidding and jokes aside, no joke.
Texas actor Jordan. Jordan likes his Texas actors.
Texas actor. In fact, we'll be talking about Powers Booth on the next segment of Texas Actors, another podcast. No, I'm just joking. We don't have a podcast.
Yeah. So I mean, he was in Red Dawn and a bunch of stuff. Just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, people nowadays might know him. He was in the Avengers movies. You'd constantly see him in hologram form, but he was in Sin City as a real baddie politician guy. I mean, but the guy's been acting forever. Acting forever.
Yeah. Powers Booth power all around. And more acting power here. Who plays Johnny Ringo, one of his henchmen?
The great Michael Biehn from Terminator 1 and 2, from
Aliens?
The Grindhouse movie, Planet Terror, from Aliens. Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time, Aliens.
And everybody... this is not a young Timothy Oliphant. For about 2 seconds, I was like, wait a minute. I truth be told, I have not seen this movie in a very, very long time. So,
oh, really?
Yes.
Really? You don't watch it like once a year at least?
No, I'm sorry, I don't, Jordan. No. I watch Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man once a year. That time is taken already.
But no, I do watch this movie once a year, honestly.
Yeah, so Jordan, big fan, and me just rediscovering this film. So this will be interesting as we get into this. And so Curly Bill rolls into town, this a small Mexican town, and there's a wedding, and he's like, you killed two of our cowboys, and they start shooting up the town, and they kill the groom, and then I love this, but the priest comes out complaining, just yelling at them, and these guys are complete assholes.
Yeah.
And Curly's like, what is he saying? And he's like, Johnny Ringo's like, he was quoting Revelations. A bunch of Mexican foreshadowing. It's going to happen in this movie is what he said.
This is after the groom cursed him and they shot the groom and took the bride. Some of the cowboys took the bride to rape her. And inside the chapel, they just grab her. Well, you get the idea that they're going to do that. Luckily, that they don't show much more than that. They spare you, luckily, even for being an R-rated film.
These dudes are no bueno. No bueno.
Then that's after the priest curses them and Johnny Ringo shoots him dead blank after he starts saying it in Spanish,
So we're a couple minutes into the film. There's already a body count that includes a priest. So these guys mean business.
But yeah, they're basically it sounds like they're quoting a Charlie Daniels song in the beginning. Like, the devil rode with him into Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. I don't know, but yeah. Anyway.
And so anyway, we get that foreshadowing, and then cut to a train as our hero Wyatt Earp steps off the train. He's a dandy former lawman from Kansas and elsewhere.
From Dodge City, I guess at this point.
Dodge City.
Yeah.
And he is a huge PETA supporter because somebody is whipping his horse and he grabs the whip and then starts beating the guy. He's like, hurt, don't it?
He did ads for PETA back then, too, even, in the papers,
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp, no.
Wyatt Earp for PETA.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Wyatt Earp for PETA. If you ever see somebody whipping a horse in an unkind way, you stop them and you whip the shit out of them and you say, hurts, don't it?
I PETA the fool. And he's like, yeah, it's okay to shoot people, but don't hit animals, guys. Do better.
Yeah. Even though later on there'll be a bologna factory opening right down the street from where this is happening later on, sadly.
A glue factory. And so anyway.
And a glue factory.
Anyway, so then the marshal walks up, and I like this. This happens so many times in the movie. Marshal walks up, and he's like,
Wyatt Earp? Are you Wyatt Earp?
And he wants Wyatt to put his spurs back on and put on the badge again and be the sheriff of this town. And he says no. Like he says many times to many people. Everybody in this movie wants him to be sheriff, just based on his reputation.
Kurt Russell replies with a lot of, no, I don't think you heard me. I said no. I said I'm retired.
Well, you know what old Wyatt Earp does when he gets off a train and people ask him to be... when the rain is coming down in sheets and ask him to be sheriff.
He says, take your best shot.
It's all in the reflexes.
We might be the first people ever in history, Anthony, to do a Kurt Russell impression.
I know. No, or just the worst people in history to do a Kurt Russell impression. Anyway.
True.
So he doesn't want to be the sheriff. He makes that clear many times in this movie. And he's like, the Wyatt boys, and he arrives in town with his older brother, Virgil, and his younger brother, Morgan.
Yeah.
And none of them, Virgil was a sheriff before too. None of them want to be sheriff or anything, don't want anything to do with that. They're all in it for the money. They're in town and like, hey, we're here to stack up some dollars. We're here to make money, everybody.
They're there to make a stake, basically.
Yeah.
They're there to take it easy, you know.
They're big time capitalists here, for sure.
They're just standing on the corner in Tombstone, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see.
Yeah. And then...
It's a family in a glass window, staring right back at me. I'm sorry. I can't help it, man.
Yeah. So then we get goddamn Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
Playing Virgil Earp. He's like the older brother. Like, this is like, Jordan, this is like Roadhouse 1883.
That's right. Wyatt, this is all because of you, Wyatt. Thank you, Wyatt. Let's go get a drink. How about beef? It's what's for dinner.
And so then we get this weird intro scene where the brothers are united and they're all introducing each other's wives. And there's the one thing about this movie in the script is there's a lot of sort of exposition from these brothers. Who should know each other very well, but they're kind of talking to the audience a lot of times.
It's exposition. You mean?
You know my wife. And it's like, yes, I've met your wife many times. I was at your wedding. Why? What a strange thing to say on this train platform.
Our wives met at the same parlor. Hello. The same madam. Hello. They were working the same whorehouse. Hello.
How much have you had to drink, Morgan? God. Well, like Captain Morgan over here.
How much laudanum have you been drinking, Morgan?
And so anyway, we get that scene where, they're looking at themselves in the mirror. And I'm like, this is cheesy pop. What is this? Silverado here? Or the window they're looking at. And it's just like, you see the group. We got our poster, everybody. We
got a family portrait, like a trailer moment.
Yeah. And then the wives are looking at each other and like, we could all be sisters in this weird Freudian moment. I don't know what's going on with that. It's a little strange, but
I guess if this were like a modern movie and it was like 1985 and this family met up at a Sears mall, they'd all like walk right up to a video camera and be like, oh, wait, stop. Look at us right there on that TV.
There we are.
Look at us. Just let weather stop and just look at us. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, this mall has lots of promise here, and they're looking at each other in the gap window at their reflection.
I guess it's a bit cheese dick, though, as I once heard a female say during a show when things get sappy.
But anyway, it works. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with that. That's okay. It's just a little cheesy. Yeah. But what isn't cheesy is the fact that the wives are closet opium addicts, especially Maddie, who's Wyatt's wife. Right?
They do gloss over some things, like how they met these wives and what these wives do in their spare time. They kind of gloss over some things a little bit in this movie because it is a Disney Hollywood Pictures movie, I guess. I don't know.
This movie gives a lot of nods to, and I'm no expert on history, but just a cursory reading about the history of the Earps and Tombstone at this time. And a lot of the people involved, like, this is a very fanciful reimagining of this story. There are some historical things that happen. In fact, that like there's an OK Corral shootout, and there are these guys called the Earp brothers. But all that other seedy stuff is sort of swept under the rug. Nobody in real life in this whole story is innocent. They're not guys in white hats in real life. You know what I mean?
I think that's the thing. Yeah, that's the we might talk about this more, get into this more detail later on. But as realistic as this movie is, there's so much glossed over. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't just black and white. This is very gray, all this, I think. Very gray with shades that were darker in some areas and on both sides, I think, honestly. Realistically, if you were looking at it in reality, that would be the real Tombstone. It'd be a lot seedier. You would know who to root for.
Exactly. It's like, is this an anti-Western? What is going on?
Yeah, like in reality, it'd be, well, who do I root for? The pimp or the gang member?
Exactly. So then we get like some transition. Everyone's like, so where's Doc Holliday? And then we get a transition scene where it's like Doc Holliday, Wyatt's friend, and we see Doc at a card table. And who plays Doc Holliday in this movie, Jordan?
The great Val Kilmer, who had just come off of The Doors playing Jim Morrison at this time.
Mwah. Chef's kiss.
Moi, the great Val Kilmer. Yes, Val. We love you, Val. I say it with an Italian accent. We love you, Val. Ciao, bravo, Val. Bravo.
And he's right off of what movie?
He's coming right off of playing Jim Morrison, The Doors. I mean, and honestly, he should have got an Oscar for both these movies. I don't know how he got. Maybe Hollywood already hated him at that point because he was so pretty and talented. I don't know.
He gives a phenomenal performance. We'll go into that, I'm sure, as we go along.
Yeah. He studied a tape of an old Georgian aristocratic accent. That accent no longer exists in the Georgian vernacular. I don't know if I'm using the right words here, but I mean, and apparently the guy talked really slow on the tape, as Val Kilmer always says in interviews.
And he's sort of a rogue. He's a cheeky bastard and a clever Hans and sort of a fey Southern dandy.
Yeah.
It's like all the writing went into his dialogue. I mean, there's some wonderful dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell has a lot of great lines too. This is a very quotable movie, and he just steals every damn scene that he's in. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
So he pulls some guns at a card game, as you do, and then stabs a guy for challenging him.
Yeah, after laying the guns on the table and offering to be friends with him.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
you
know. We can be friends.
Technicality. Yes.
I'm just kidding.
He offers to be friends, and then like 2 seconds later stabs him to death, takes all the winnings, robs the damn pot there at the
Good God. How rude.
At the saloon with his Kate, his girlfriend, played by Joanna Pacula, it wonderfully.
Yeah. You never see a Western where people are nice to each other or in any way, but it would be kind of funny, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm sorry I had to stab you, sir, but you were going to take my winnings. Now I'll be leaving here and I'll take this too. I apologize, but it's necessary. But you know what? Here, I'll give something back.
All right, Doc Holliday, you just carry on. You're doing what you have to do. We understand. Hell no. Somebody would have pulled a gun and said, what the hell are you doing?
We love you, Doc Holliday. You go along now.
And then he rides out and the whole town's waving him.
You and
away.
Your pretty wife, Big Nose
Bye.
Kate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call her Big Nose Kate.
Ooh, rude.
Ooh.
Anyway, so they rob the place, and so you're like, "Who is this?" This is a movie of anti-heroes in a way, like we said.
This is one of our heroes, yes.
Am I rooting for this guy? Is he good? Is he bad? I don't know. Anyway.
He won the card game. He stabbed the guy, and yeah, he's our hero. Yeah. He's one of our heroes.
A real role model, and he's got tuberculosis, FYI, degenerative disease, and he's sick throughout the whole movie.
I love the fact that he's still running and gunning, though. He's still moving. He's still gambling, still drinking hard. I admire his spirit, Yeah, I admire that. The man's got a weakness, but he still moves, man.
He doesn't let a little thing like tuberculosis cramp his style.
Yeah, exactly.
He's active. He's high functioning. Good for him.
And always being called a lunger on top of that. Like, that's probably a major insult if you have tuberculosis.
Dealing with some discrimination. He is our, yes. I guess because everyone else in this movie is so shitty, and he's kind of like what you're left with to root for as far as heroes go.
But it wasn't nice that he stabbed the man. No, it wasn't. And he just ran out of that casino place.
The saloon, robbing it. Yeah.
On a serious note, I love the production design here.
Oh, these sets look very real. Yes. So much care is taken. I don't know how accurate, if these guns are period or whatever. I don't. But they definitely do spend clearly a lot of money on the sets. They look fantastic. You get a real sense. This feels like the 1880s, right? This doesn't feel like a Hollywood backlot. All right, and then we meet a corrupt sheriff. Right, the marshal tells him, "Hey, that's a corrupt sheriff, and the Cowboys run this town, and crime is rampant." And Wyatt walks into the roughest saloon in town, the Oriental. And I want to let you know that there is a lot of tobacco spitting in this movie.
Boy, is there? Yeah,
it's a lot of people spitting. It's kind of gross, and it's a very sweaty movie as well. I guess it's Arizona. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's realistic looking. I mean, that's the cool thing about the movie is it looks realistic. It's like being transported back in time, almost. Like this is as close you get to Westworld right here.
Yeah, and you get a lot of cameos in this movie, like the bartender's Pat Brady, who was Roy Rogers' sidekick for years. Roy Rogers, an old TV and movie. Yeah,
I did not realize that.
Yeah,
but of course, who is the guy dealing the hand of Pharaoh in this scene?
Who is he?
A younger Billy Bob Thornton, a baby Billy Bob Thornton. Pre-Sling Blade even here.
Yeah. Pre-Slim Fast Billy Bob Thornton. Pre-gym membership Billy Bob Thornton.
I got a gym membership. What the fuck you saying, Anthony? Well, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. God damn it. It's like playing cards with my grandkids here. Shit. I told you.
Pre-Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, pre-Angelina Jolie even. Jeez. Yeah, people forget. People out in the world, we're just going to let you know that this happened. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton used to be an item. And they used to wear each other's blood around their neck. I am not making this up. It sounds like I'm making, like this is a myth I'm telling. But no.
Yeah, I think we went into that in Sky Captain World Tomorrow.
Oh, we did.
Episode. But
that's right.
It's definitely bears repeating. And
okay,
so
anyway, I just reused an old joke. Jesus Christ.
Hey, reuse and recycle. We recycle on this podcast.
We just scrape off the glue and go, why throw away a perfectly good joke?
Exactly. Dust it off. And so,
scrape the cement off. So
anyway, Wyatt rolls up and just tells him to skin that smoke wagon. Pull your gun on me. I love some of the slang. Are they making up slang? But I love it. He's like, pull your gun on me.
That's the way they really talked, though, didn't they? Really talk that way back then?
I don't know, Jordan. Maybe. I don't know. But it's fun. There's a lot of fun dialogue here. I got to say, this is a quotable movie. So I think if you told someone to skin that smoke wagon, I don't know what they would think or what they would do in response to that. So just be careful.
I watch this scene and I get the wrong feelings you shouldn't get. Like, yeah, that's what I would do. I would do that same thing. I'd walk up to that motherfucker and be like, yeah, you're damn right. You're scared. I can see it in your eyes. I'd be the same way, man. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, throw down. See what happens.
Yeah.
Skin that mooks. When in real life, you wouldn't be like that.
No, but he's a tough guy, and he's fearless, and he, like, Billy Bob's character doesn't have the guts to pull the trigger, and so it's amazing. Like, he just slaps him like a bitch repeatedly till he's bleeding.
Listen, mister, I'm getting real sick of your... Oh. I'm sorry, I just did that to my face. That really actually hurt. Oh.
Going all the way for the podcast, Jordan.
Oh, God, that actually hurts, man. And he slaps him around. He bitch slaps him a lot in this scene.
Yeah.
It almost looks too real. I wonder if Billy Bob was like to Kurt Russell in this scene, like, just give it to me, Kurt. Just give it to me. Son of a bitch, slap me. Son of a bitch, slap me. George, roll the cameras.
Got some blood for my girlfriend's vial now. So, Jordan, are you just going to do something or sit there and just bleed? And that's what he tells him. And
hey, listen, Anthony, I'm getting real sick of your attitude in this podcast. Okay. Oh. Okay, all right.
Then he pulls Billy Bob out of the bar by his ear and throws him out into the street, and then muscles in and takes over the house. You know, he just walks up to the bartender and is like, I'm running this bar now, or I want to cut it.
He says, what do you say, Lou, about half the house?
Yeah.
Talk about a negotiator. Talk about Captain Kirk, like, walking into a situation.
Yeah, who gets bullied by their dealer? The dealer's like, I'm going to be a dealer in here. It's like, no one likes you and you're an asshole. We'll deal with it. You know, what are you going to do? And it's like, we can't do anything. This guy... has a gun. Like, I don't get why they're letting this guy work there and run business away. But anyway.
I would believe it. Haven't you watched Deadwood before? Same thing happens on Deadwood. I don't know. Okay. I'm just that's my reference. I've never been to the Old West. I never had a time machine. Sorry.
Okay. We'll give you a pass. So anyway, he muscles in on the house take, and then Billy Bob Thornton runs up outside with a shotgun, and then Doc shows up and then saves them, right? Just like, hey, how you doing?
Johnny Tyler. Is that what he says? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Doc, I didn't know you back in town. Doc, you son of a bitch. Oh, I'm sorry. I just know Billy Bob Thornton loves to say son of a bitch, and when I do a Billy Bob Thornton impression, that's the easiest part of it to do. I said, listen, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's really from the son of a bitch school of acting, for sure. And
yeah.
And so anyway, so they diffuses that situation. It's very funny. And Wyatt wants to open up a racetrack, right? And then just as they're talking, a guy gets shot in a bar, and the gunman comes out, and it's Turkey Creek Jack Johnson. I like some of these guys' names. So history. This guy was a real person in history.
Oh,
so now he's in the movie.
Jack Vermillion, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Jack Vermillion, yeah.
So he'll come into play later on in the movie's sixth act.
He might, yeah. Man, he looks cool. What a nice fringe jacket he's got. What an awesome fringe jacket he's got on. What a cool ass
really
money
rocking
fringe jacket.
The beaded purse. He's really rocking some Old West style there.
He's got the rock and roll hair to go with it. The biker mustache. Everybody has a biker mustache in this movie. A handlebar.
This is a movie of mustaches. If the Academy had a category for mustaches, this movie would have won.
That's right. For best Zapata mustache in a Western this year, the winner is Tombstone. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The nominees are Wyatt Earp, True Romance, Gary Oldman. Oh. Oh, wait. He didn't have a mustache in that. Never mind. Sorry.
But yeah, this is a movie of mustaches. So then Dana Delaney shows up, and she plays an actress, Josephine Marcus.
Yes.
And Jordan, my word, I am getting the vapors, Jordan. She is fetching this Dana Delaney. Where do we know her from in the 90s?
We know her from this show that Johnny Carson once mistakenly called China Bitch, but really was actually called China Beach. Anyway,
wait, it's not called China Bitch?
No, I'm afraid not, Anthony. Where she played a nurse in Vietnam, and I agree. I was always in love with her myself.
She's wonderful in this role as well, with what they give her to do in this movie, but basically be the non-marital paramour love interest of Wyatt Earp. This is probably somewhat close to history.
Josephine Marcos actually wrote a book too called I Married Wyatt Earp. That's the real title. I did not make this up. It was also made into a TV movie later on in the 80s with Bruce Boxleitner and Marie Osmond. And it also shows how full of shit Josephine Marcus. Sorry. How much more she embellishes than her fucking husband did.
Exactly. Old West memoirs, and anybody who lived past the turn of the century, or everyone lied about their exploits back east to sell newspapers and books. Everyone lied like a dog.
I read it, I don't buy it. And Wyatt Earp
lied
was known
about
to be,
them.
Yeah. Wyatt Earp was the T.E. Lawrence, the P.T. Barnum of his day, essentially. He was a big exhibitionist. He's an attention getter at times, I think. And there were some stories about himself where he did embellish himself even. So, and he married a woman that embellished even more, so it seemed like, I guess, later on. Anyway.
And she is probably less of an actress by the time she gets to Tombstone and more of what we call a soiled dove.
Yeah. But thank God they cast
a woman
Dana
of
Delaney.
the evening. Oh my goodness. She makes it. Yeah.
Because then you fall in love with her. Just like, it's like she walks into the room and you fall in love with her.
You fall in love with her because of the soft lighting and they slather Vaseline on the lens and play that dreamy, pipey music. You know?
I imagine Dana Delaney wakes up beautiful, honestly, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Staggers into the shower looking beautiful, like just peachy.
Boy. I'd be her Huckleberry. Anyway. So,
God, we just go on about Dana Delaney. Dana Delaney.
So Dana Delaney at her Delaneyest, and then we get Billy Zane at his zaniest. And he plays.
Boy, is he zany.
That's the dad joke of this. The dad joke of the podcast brought to you by Olympia Beers since 1881. Olympia Beer.
I'm surprised we didn't see Olympia in this movie. God, it seemed like it was in every movie lately we were reviewing.
I know. Yeah. And so he plays Mr. Fabian, who's an actor.
He's very Byron-esque, I guess. I went there. Ooh, far out with the reference there.
Yeah, and this traveling show. And whenever she gets off the coach, as happens in this movie, she and Wyatt lock eyes. And then the music really kicks in.
Yeah, you can hear the flutes and the clarinets and
yeah.
You can hear the flautists playing.
Yeah. So then later on, they're putting on a show at the theater.
Yeah. Oh, let's not forget Doc's line. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes.
Oh, an enchanting moment.
Doc has all the lines. I mean, yes. He makes
and let's not forget her line. My God, I would love this if a woman was staring at me across the room, just, lovingly and said, "Who is that tall drink of water?" I'd be like, "Oh, that's what you said about me? What? When you first saw me?" Oh.
What gets you, the tall part or the drink of water part?
Yeah, because I'm not very tall for one, and the drink of water, oh my God. Am I that pure? So, I come off that pure to you?
She's somehow in the West and has never seen a cowboy before, and she's like, ooh, who's that guy in the hat with the fancy mustache?
She doesn't say, "Who is that tall drink of whiskey?" No, that highball of whiskey. No, who is that tall drink of water?
And then she looks at Doc Holliday and she's like, "Who's that tuberculosis-ridden man who smells of whiskey?" Anyway, so
he's my man.
So they're in the theater later, and I mean, there is no security here in this theater, Jordan, because the Cowboys, and not just any Cowboys, the gang, the Cowboys are all
They don't even have a bailiff there. Wait, that's wrong. I'm sorry.
And it should be. And then
that joke went south. I'm sorry. Oh.
Your joke needs to go west, Jordan, not south. So Curly Bill and his gang are there, and they're just shooting up the theater. Nobody cares. They're shooting at the actors. They're shooting at the performers, and everyone's cool
shooting
with
at Billy Zane while he's doing his beautiful monologue. Although they stop in the middle because his monologue is so moving. Everybody is moved in the whole room. They all stop shooting.
Billy Zane has that power. He is that good of an actor. Even drunken cowboys have to stop and watch it.
Even Jason Priestley, wearing glasses and a fake mustache, has to stop and look at him and go, "He's amazing."
Jason Priestley. Yes, this is interesting. So Jason Priestley, and he was in a little TV show. And what TV show of the era was Jason Priestley on?
He was on this show called Beverly Hills 90210. He was like probably on every teenage girl's wall, poster-wise.
Yeah, teen heartthrob. But his heart is throbbing for Billy Zane in a not so subtle way.
Clearly he's in love with Billy Zane's character, yeah. He's moved by his speech, and he buys him a drink later on when they're back at the Oriental later on.
In a Disney movie in the 90s, wow.
Yeah, that was Disney progressing, right? Yeah. That was Disney kind of moving forward with things compared to other people.
Ron DeSantis was not happy about this scene. Anyway.
No, he was not. Ooh, too
Too
soon.
soon. All right. Anyway, so we get a little wooden exposition from the brothers. Hey, we're brothers.
Yeah, and by the way, back then you had to, I think contractually you had to put one of the cast members of 90210 in your movie around that time period. I think it was like a contractual thing. If your budget was above $10 million, you had to have them in supporting player at least. Anyway.
Yeah. Dana Delaney just beat out Shannon Doherty for the Josephine part.
Yeah. Luke Perry was almost in there somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah, Luke Perry must have been busy, I guess. Playing a real cowboy in 8 seconds. God damn it. A real cowboy, damn it.
8 seconds of stardom, more like it. Anyway, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a good movie. Anyway.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, man.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Anyway. So, once again, they're pestered by the marshal and everybody. Like, hey, why don't you come in and be the sheriff of this town? He's like, nope, don't ask me again, because there is no way in hell I'm going to be the sheriff of this town, everybody. Leave me alone. Just leave me and my opium-addicted wife alone, okay? We're trying to build a new life and fleece this town legally.
Trying to make money off this town, lay a stake here, and then be done and out of here and retire somewhere else.
Retire in Arizona. No, wait. Too soon.
Yeah. I want to buy some oceanfront property in Arizona. From my front porch, you can see the sea.
That's actually a scam that the real life Earp brothers ran. Anyway, not good guys. Anyway.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think I do. Yeah.
Selling oceanfront property. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Selling oceanfront property. The Earps actually, had a timeshare program that was a big scam going on.
Exactly. You're selling timeshares, selling, retirement community lots. It was, all that. They invented the golf cart.
You almost thought you were going to get the big screen TV too when you did the Earp timeshare program, but no, you ended up with the drink mixer, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, so now I want everyone to know that Wyatt's wife, everybody, is an opium addict. So it's okay if he has a crush on Josephine. Okay?
She's played by Fletch's girlfriend, I believe.
Fletch's girlfriend.
I'm sorry. She was in the movie Fletch for my last memory.
She's an actress who has a name that I didn't look up, and I'm sorry about that. Hold on. Should we look it up? Is she somebody?
If you want to, look it up. Is it Dana Wheeler Nicholson? Is that her?
Oh, there she is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fletch, Fast Food Nation, Parkland. Ooh, how the mighty have fallen. Never mind.
What about television? Any television?
She did some television. Anyways, look it up, folks. That's your homework. Okay.
Ouch.
Yes. Anyway.
Sorry, Dana Wheeler Nicholson.
Anyway, so Wyatt is drinking coffee in a saloon. So that's nice. He's a good sober guy as he deals. I always like my dealers to be sober, Jordan, so I appreciate that. Oh,
that's right. We find out, this is after we find out Maddie's been doing more laudanum, whatever. Yeah. It's the just say no moment scene you had to have, I guess,
Yeah.
But back at the Oriental, he's dealing the table. Everybody comes back from the show, right? And then this is where we get into the heated...
so this is awesome.
This is where Johnny Ringo and is this where... No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Exactly, yeah. That is that scene. An epic scene here.
This scene, classic cinema.
Seriously, probably one of the best Western scenes in all of Western film history. Not saying this is one of the best Western films in all history, but this scene is up there because Wyatt is dealing. Curly Bill and Johnny Ringo walk up, and they're like total assholes here.
This is right after this guy's getting Wyatt Earp's autograph on a dollar bill.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Curly Bill walks up rudely and just takes it away and just tosses it. And then, this is where
Johnny Ringo comes up, and he does not so much like Doc Holliday.
They start talking Latin together. They start speaking Latin with each other in this evil way.
Yeah, he's like, don't mess with me, S.A. Don't you know I'm local?
That's right. It's right out of a Cypress Hill song. But they're speaking Latin. This is not Spanish. This is the complex language of Latin. I mean, Latin's not an easy language.
A very dead language.
It's an old language. Yeah, ancient, dead language. I mean, they used to write Bibles in this language. If you find a Bible in this language, it's worth a lot of money.
Yes, there's a whole empire that kind of used this language. And Johnny Ringo was not so much of an educated man in real life. I doubt he knew Latin, maybe the curse words. But there's an amazing scene where, like I said, they trade the Latin dialogue, and then Johnny Ringo pulls a gun, and he does what, Jordan?
Well, you think he's gonna, you think something's gonna happen with the gun, but then he whips into twirling it.
Yeah, gun tricks,
and he's doing all these nice little twirling tricks with the gun, and oh my God, Michael Biehn looks so fucking cool here.
He's intimidating as hell. He just like that stare. It's really amazing. Yeah.
And the audience is cheering, and everybody's dead silent because they're all in suspense, and they're all cheering him on at this point. But then Doc gets all clever, and he takes his whiskey flask, metal whiskey flask, nickel flask,
tin
or
cup,
whatever it is. Yeah, it's his tin cup or whatever it is. Yeah. I was like, is that nickel or tin or whatever? Yeah. And he starts twirling it the same exact way, like almost mirroring Johnny Ringo. So here we have Val Kilmer, like in the scene, one-upping Michael Biehn. It's literally like acting chops going against each other as well.
Oh, yeah. Just flipping his cup, humiliating him, mocking him. And
yeah,
Johnny Ringo can't do anything but leave. It's awesome.
But that's what's cool, too. It's mockingly, but it's also like, boy, talk about reasoning your way out of a fight.
And I think the movie does, I guess because it's a Disney movie, but the Earps and Doc Holliday, a lot of times before the last half of the movie, they use their wits. They sort of taunt people. They mock people. They intimidate people without the use of guns. In fact, Wyatt brags about not even carrying a gun around for the first half of the movie.
Now, I heard there's some truth to that, at least, as far as what kind of sheriff he was. Yeah. I don't know how true that is either, of course, because Wyatt Earp was embellishing things about himself, but he always talked about how he would try to keep his cool a lot more than to use his gun. It was using his head over his gun, something like, he would say something like that. It was some kind of philosophy he lived by, because he didn't really want to kill anybody.
Yeah.
He would use the butt of his gun, apparently, sometimes in situations, just to, if things got extreme, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that's funny. And then the next scene, Wyatt runs into Josephine riding their horses in the mountains. Funny. What are the odds? I mean, in the middle of nowhere.
And the horses happen to be in heat, apparently.
Yes.
As Wyatt notes.
Yes. And then we get some weird horny horse innuendos from that conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then they have a riding date with these
This is almost like a conversation like between two teenagers riding horse, though, kind of, in a way. I don't know, something weird about this scene. Yeah, it's like, because it's a Disney way of showing something sexual, I guess, or
it's
loving.
PG-13.
Yeah, even though it's an R movie, they don't really go far here either.
No. It's really weird. They're just dancing around. It's kind of funny.
What you call Disney R. It's not exactly what you would think. It's okay. Some things are okay under the mouse's ears.
This is
some things.
This is some infidelity innuendo. Everybody, nothing's going on here.
We don't want Pinocchio's nose poking out of the wrong places here, though, people.
Exactly.
That's the Disney executives talking at the time.
That was Disney exec code. It's like, where's Pinocchio's nose in this scene? All right.
How long is Pinocchio's nose in this scene? Where is it at? That's what I want to know. What are you talking about? You know what I mean.
Michael Eisner.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. There's not going to be any Pinocchio nose in this scene, okay?
All right.
Don't worry, okay? Okay.
So anyway, Josephine comes on really hard. They have a horse date, and then they're having a picnic, and she's like, "Are you happy? Is that your wife? What do you want out of life?" Like, damn, this is an aggressive Tinder profile, right?
Yeah.
And she's clearly with Behan, who's the corrupt sheriff of the town.
Hi, I'm Josephine. I'm seeking a man mentally and financially stable, hopefully a sheriff of a small town.
Looking for a tall drink of water.
Yeah.
With a Western air about him. Yeah.
I can see the old personal ad from it already. Exactly. That's the headline. Looking for a tall drink of water. Exactly.
Actress, not a prostitute, is looking for a tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a prostitute. Hello. And no, I don't pose nude. Oh, wait, maybe I do sometimes.
Except when I do.
Well, I wear sheer. That's different.
Yeah. And so anyway, they have a date, but it's kind of crazy because like he's cheating on his wife and she's cheating on Behan, who is John Tenney. Is Johnny Behan.
John Tenney, yeah. I remember him on an episode of Outer Limits, like where he was this guy in the future that was in love with this hologram after this Holocaust. Anyway.
Yeah,
long
bunch of
story
stuff,
short.
including Free Willy too. So that's acting power, Pee-wee.
The great Free Willy 2. We can't forget this.
Better than Free Willy, some people say. Not me, though. I have strong opinions. Anyway.
Free Willy lacked any Pinocchio nose.
It's like, how big is Pinocchio's nose on Free Willy?
Yeah, it was not about Pinocchio noses.
So yeah, the sheriff, Johnny Behan, is dating her, and she is clearly not happy with him, and there's like zero
chemistry
between those two, but they don't really share much screen time. She's like, hello, I'm Johnny, hi, I'm Josephine, and then they're dating suddenly. The movie's like, oh, you know, they're dating together, right? Yeah. They're going steady, people, and like, when did this happen?
He buys her a bottle of champagne and they're going together after that.
Real missing.
They're just they're courting courting after that, I guess.
And the problem is with this movie, especially later on in the movie, is the passage of time gets very confusing. And I'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah, I think I know why that is too. I can bring that up too.
Yeah, we'll talk. We have a lot to say on that, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, Wyatt comes home, and then his wife is high on the opiums.
Maddie's strung out, as Elvis might say. All week she's been strung out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. So she's
strung out on the laudanum. Laudanum also a safe way of doing the opium in a Disney movie, by the way. She's not smoking it or shooting it up.
Mother's little helper. The colonel gave her some drugs, just to keep her up. Yeah. Anyway,
she's been chasing the dragon.
And anyway, so their marriage is on the rocks. But then back at the Oriental, Doc is playing the piano. And is that Val Kilmer really playing the piano, Jordan?
I would bet money it is. I don't know whether that's confirmed or not, but I would bet money that really is him playing piano. I think he can play piano.
Okay, if not, he really
multi-talented dude. I mean, so
yeah. He's playing some fucking Chopin, and he looks good. I don't know. That's good acting.
Frederick fucking Chopin. Yeah, after the guy from Wings walks over. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church. No, I love you, Thomas Hayden Church. Love you.
Spider-Man 3, the list goes on.
Played Sandman, for Christ's sake. Yeah, and in Spider-Man No Way Home brought back even.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But yeah, he walks over and says, is that Steven Stinking Foster? Camptown races, and almost, him and Kilmer kind of look like they could be brothers almost. So it makes it kind of weird. That's also like with Johnny Ringo, I think, like they all almost look like they're mirror images of each other, which makes the movie even weirder and more deeper, kind of on a mythic level,
Yeah, you're kind of right. If these are their alter egos and they're slightly less evil than they are.
Yeah.
They're slightly less shady versions of themselves.
Yeah. Kilmer and Church and, they all kind of got that Slavic jawline. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. That
so anyway,
Anglo jawline.
Yeah, so we
perfect
see
Anglo structure jawline.
A lot of jawlines in this movie. And then we see Curly Bill in an opium den. Like, so everyone's on smack in this movie? I don't get it.
Oh, yeah, this is when you at least get some smoking opium in it, but only the men are allowed to be shown doing it. Only the sluts, the truer sluts. Well, the sluts that aren't with the heroes are allowed to do it in a scene.
Maybe not sluts is the word we need to use. Let's try that with a different word.
Okay. A madam. What? Come on, we all know what Maddie was, Anthony. Let's not gloss over this anymore.
Okay.
I mean, hell. I mean, one of the Clantons says it later on, even in the movie. Ike says it later on. He's like, "Oh, you bunch of pimps, man. That's all you are. Bunch of pimps." Something like that.
And he's not necessarily wrong. Anyway.
He's not.
So then Curly Bill is shooting all over town, just shooting up.
Oh, yeah. After getting high on opium, after being in a sort of Asian-run opium den.
Yeah.
I guess.
So then the marshal runs up, and then Curly Bill shoots him with a smoke bomb, and some squibs go off. And then there's a smoke bomb under his shirt. It's crazy, Jordan. I don't know. Those are some crazy bullets.
It looks dramatic. I mean, it looks cool, right? I mean,
yeah. And so, Jordan, the town is without a marshal now, right?
That's
Who
right.
could possibly step in, Jordan? Like,
wait, hold on. He's still dying. Wait, Lou, is that you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Wyatt steps in, and
he pistol whips him, I guess, down, knocks him out. Whips him, knocks him out.
And then he's kind of holding, it's weird. He's kind of holding Curly Bill throughout this whole scene with his hand. And Curly Bill's just like, whoa, I don't know. I don't know. That must have been a hell of a pistol whip. But anyway, so then the Cowboys want him loose. And Sheriff Behan is just standing there like a bee.
The Cowboys are surrounding him at gunpoint as well.
Yeah.
This is where you're talking about this scene. Oh, yeah. This scene is really cool.
He's not doing anything. All this is going down, and Behan is just like sitting back, and you're like, wait a minute. What's going on here with this sheriff? In quotes.
Behan just, dressed like a pimp himself, dressed like Superfly over there with his damn cane and everything.
Looks like
like an
Masterson.
1885, yeah. Like an 1885 Superfly,
Superfly, 1885. I'm your cowboy in the alley.
Yeah.
I'm your white man in the alley. I'm the Behan.
And so, selling opium, the last big opium score, and trying to get out of Tombstone. I'd like that movie.
There's a side movie there. That's a side sequel.
Looks like a movie Fred Williamson would have been in the 70s.
They signed John Tenney on pay or play deal. John Tenney got a check, walked. They never made the movie.
And so, anyway, the Earp brothers run in and drive the Cowboys off. Then we cut to a scene, and Wyatt's pissed off. There's no justice. The judge just dismissed the case because there were no witnesses. The fact that the marshal got killed.
But of course, now that last scene, didn't we get the first Huckleberry moment in that scene where Val Kilmer
is that the first Huckleberry?
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah, that's right. Johnny Ringo,
And then says...
I skipped over a Huckleberry. My bad.
He's facing off with Thomas Hayden Church, and he says, Doc, you're probably so drunk, you're seeing double. And he says... my favorite line he says that nobody ever quotes is, I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
One for each of you. I like that too.
After he says you're probably seeing double. That's my favorite line ever. I'm like, fuck yeah. That's where Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday looks like a badass in my opinion.
So then the judge, we find out that Wyatt's pissed because the judge dismissed the case. And then Morgan puts his drink on a pool table. That bugged me. I'm like, dude, watch out, bro. Anyway.
Yeah, being a bartender, that used to bug me too when people would set their beer bottles on a damn pool table. Because you're always worried they're going to knock it over anyway.
There is no law and order in this town, damn it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
damn it, Morgan, you know better. Get your beer off the table.
So the Cowboys are running through town, shooting up the place, and then Virgil saves a kid from some outlaws. Right after he gives this big scene like, we got to get out of here, we're not going to be the law around here, etc., etc., etc.
Oh yeah, I'm walking around looking at these people in the eye. These people are afraid, and I'm trying to make money off them, goddammit.
Yeah, so he has that change of heart, and he decides to be the sheriff, right? And then so he bans guns from the town.
Yeah, after nailing up the sign, and there's this moment.
And the NRA is not having that at all. And then we see the 1880s NRA.
I almost wonder, was this like a Republican, because I know Republicans were different back then, but this seems like literally a moment like
we had 1880s PETA, and now we have the 1880s NRA.
As far as the 90s when they were talking anti-gun, so
women suffragettes, 30 years before that's cool, and so we got a lot of politics.
You're crazy. You're talking about banning guns. You're crazy. Are you out of your mind? Oh, you're both making a big mistake here.
That's why Ron DeSantis had this movie banned in Florida. Anyway, so...
That's right. It wasn't it? People don't talk about that.
So anyway, and then one of the drunk cowboys, Ike Clanton, a real life person. Some of these people, I guess, are real names taken from real life. And this really happened around a real incident, but like we said, they're playing fast and loose with history here. But so Ike gets into it with Virgil and he threatens him, right?
Oh yeah, is this where he's exiting the Oriental after a card game that he's not happy about losing with Doc, where Doc says the most insulting thing ever. Is, I know, Ike. How about a spelling contest?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Which I guess is maybe Ike's more sensitive about that because I can't read. Maybe.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The more you know, everybody.
Because I bet, which was common back then. I bet most people couldn't fucking read. Well, I had poor education back then. What much schooling back then in the West?
What is schooling really? Because Doc Holliday was a dentist, and I think to be a dentist, you went to like a 3-day program at the community college, and it's like, here you go. And dentists back then did like minor surgeries. It was like, they weren't telling people to floss.
They gave you a drill and a skull to practice with, and that was it.
Exactly. Practice on this horse. People are just about the same. And here, you're a dentist.
And it was like, it's got just as many teeth. Practice on these molars.
Here's how you pull a tooth. All right, class is over. Any questions? And so anyway, I guess an educated man. So Virgil takes him to jail after an altercation, and then the Cowboys bail him out, and they're threatening their revenge. They're all pissed off. The Cowboys are really pissed off. They spend this whole movie pissed off, and now they're really pissed off because law and order has come to Tombstone.
Oh, and by the way, we have to give it up for Stephen Lang playing Ike Clanton. My God, what a performance, that guy.
Oh, he's really
Stephen
good.
Lang, who we would later know as a more muscled out kind of guy in Avatar, muscled out general, and playing a guy in the Conan the Barbarian, not the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, the Jason Momoa one. Actually, he would be in that movie later on too. But Stephen Lang, man, what an actor.
Yeah, he's really great in the role. And then Doc gets some bad news from the doctor that all his drinking and hard living is really aggravating his tuberculosis.
Yeah, his drinking, his hard living, and sex with his wife even? Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, you got to cut out everything.
Come on, Doc.
Everything that's fun that you're doing, you have to stop. And doctors are the worst patients anyway, so he's like, I guess.
But of course, he says to the doctor, he says, go to hell.
But then he tells his girlfriend she's got to go. He's like, I'm sorry. I mean, you can't be your Huckleberry any longer.
He says, darling, we must rediscuss the nature of our association, is what he says.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to stop paying you, in other words. Old West love.
There's a deleted scene on the DVD where he puts her on a horse, and I think he gives her funds and sends her away, but she gets real angry at him, and he says, more or less, what do you want me for anyway? A meal ticket,
Yeah. And
she leaves on a horse pissed off, essentially.
And then she's pissed off because all he did was give her a bag of Huckleberries, and she's like, what is this? Those are your Huckleberries.
That was his last joke to her. Jeez. God. That prankster Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday, the prankster. My God, he could do a one-man show with that shit. He could have done a one-man show.
I know. It was so awesome. Anyway,
I'm the prankster, Doc Holliday. Those my Huckleberries. Coming this summer to Broadway, Doc Holliday. You loved him in Tombstone. Here he is. I'm your Huckleberry.
And then the marketing off of this movie, they actually had a Doc Holliday brand of cereal called Doc Holliday's Huckleberries. And it was great.
You brought up marketing. I wish to God they would have, like, Kenner would have had an action figure line in this movie, honestly.
Yeah. Did they have action figures later of Tombstone action?
They have dolls you can buy that are real expensive, detailed dolls, like $200 off.
Yeah.
I think they're made by a Sideshow collectible type company. Not the actual, I don't know if they're actual Sideshow, but yeah. But no, it's not. I'm saying, like, God, I wish they would have had, like, Star Wars type Tombstone action figures. Johnny Ringo comes with gun spinning action, a Tombstone playset with it, which includes a bonus Curly Bill dying action figure.
I know Doc Holliday has like tuberculosis blood coughing action with teacup spinning action.
Oh, great. Yeah. Doc Holliday ready for action doll where you pull a string and it goes, I'm your Huckleberry. Honey, we must discuss the nature of our association.
Let's have a spelling contest.
I know. Ike, let's have it. Yeah, exactly. Let's have a spelling contest. Zip, I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
I would buy that for $1 for sure.
I would too. Oh, man.
Anyway, that's awesome.
Jeez, I want that more than I want the Anton Chigurh action figure from No Country for Old Men. I desire that more to be made with the coin flipping action. Yes.
So anyway, the Cowboys run into town, and then Wyatt sees them, and he's like, all right, well, I guess if the other brothers are going to be a lawman, then I need to too. So he caves into peer pressure, and then he brings his old pistol out of retirement.
What a beaut that is, boy. It's got that plate on the side that says Peacemaker, Dodge City, like it was a gift given to him by the people of Dodge City, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway, I bought the same pistol at a Route 66 tourist trap a few years ago. So yeah.
Really?
You can still buy those.
How much did it cost?
Let's not talk about that, Jordan. I don't ask you how much things cost. It was a copyright infringing memento. Let's just go.
I thought I was buying a genuine Colt off of eBay, but no, it was just a cap gun that was a toy. God damn it.
And so we hear that the Cowboys are setting up where in town, Jordan?
Right there on Allen Street at the OK Corral.
At the OK Corral, yes.
At the OK Corral. I'm just, yeah, exactly. Right up there at the OK Corral.
At the corner of Allen Street and Central, right over by the Panera Bread. Can't miss it.
They got Wi-Fi there, by the way.
I know.
Yeah. Right next to a Starbucks. You can't miss it.
Of course, right next to the Starbucks. But Jordan, you can't give people direction with Starbucks anymore. There's like 4 Starbucks on that block.
And they just opened up another opium den right there.
So, yeah, the Earp brothers came into town to open up the very first Starbucks. So they were ahead of their time.
I wonder how this is going to play out around this OK Corral stuff, though.
Yeah, I've heard of this. This might be a thing, Jordan. So the Cowboys are all set up there, and then Virgil leads the brothers over to disarm the Cowboys because, guns are verboten in town now. And then surprisingly, when you go to take a bunch of people's guns in the Old West, they probably don't want to give them up. So they start shooting.
Yeah, they're not going to like that. So they're going to start shooting. Yeah.
And this is a great gunfight. This is a really fun, awesome gunfight. I don't know how historically accurate it is, but I bet you they staged it because I think, we have accounts of exactly how this went down, right?
Well, even Val Kilmer has counted the amount of bullets in this scene, and he said you don't hardly see anybody reload in this scene. Yeah. People fire more than 6 shots without reloading in this scene a lot, but it's a cool fucking scene. Yeah,
totally.
Moment. I mean, when they start walking there, you got that magnificent 7 shot of the hero shot of all 4 of them in a row walking up there, to disarm them.
You really get like the Reservoir Dogs. You really get that magnificent 7. You get that a bunch of guys.
Which is, as my wife also said, the trailer moment. And I also add to that, that's the movie poster moment as well, basically, because it really is.
Yeah. You get a very wild bunch in every movie, like when the Cowboys or whoever's walking up in the group.
Yeah, this is the man's got to do what a man's got to do shot.
And it's awesome. I like it. It works. It's cheesy. It's been done before. It works here.
Even the Ghostbusters has a shot like this when they're walking up to kill Gozer with their proton packs, right? When they arm their proton pack. Same thing. I mean, literally. Anyway.
Yeah, and so the brothers walk up and we get a great gunfight at the OK Corral, and Thomas Hayden Church is gunned down, and Virgil gets shot in the leg.
Yeah. Ike doesn't know what to do. He's like, get out of the fight. Fight or flight.
He runs inside, and Josephine's in there, and he scares her, and he's shooting. I mean, it's just a great scene. A lot of people getting shot.
Just as Josephine's having these photos of herself taken by a photographer at the same time, where she's in this sheer outfit. Did you not notice that in the scene, Anthony? How could you not notice? I'm sorry, my voice just went up. I'm just cracking now. Oh, Dana Delaney.
Just take a breath, Jordan. Drink a glass of water.
Ooh, I'm married. Stop. What are you doing tonight, Dana? You want to go out? You want to go out to a Starbucks? Okay. I'll buy you a latte.
Yeah, Jordan, she wouldn't want to mess with you. She's in her prime.
That's right. I'm not in love with Dana Delaney. Just don't tell me. I know what I'm going through. Sorry. So anyway, after the heat of the OK Corral fight, after Ike ran into where Sheriff Behan's hiding out with Josephine and shooting and.
Yeah, and then so anyway, Sheriff Behan, after this is all over and everyone's been shot up, and Virgil gets shot in the leg. Virgil takes some bullets in this movie for sure.
Boy, yeah.
He gets shot up pretty good. And then so Sheriff Behan comes out and then tries to arrest the Earp brothers, and that fails because they're like, no.
Yeah, after Wyatt tells him, he says, I don't think I'll let you arrest us today, Sheriff Behan.
Yeah. So Sheriff Behan, I don't know where his allegiances lie, but I don't know. I don't know if I like this Sheriff Behan.
What does he do? What?
He just stands around and waxes his mustache and then dusts off his bowler hat. That's all and hit on Dana Delaney. That's all he does.
Yeah.
This whole movie. And then this movie really goes to shit for the Earp brothers, it really goes to shit because what happens after this? This sets off a sequence of events here.
Well, we have a funeral with the Cowboys that are dead. and some of them are in like coffins with
they're in fancy
even.
glass coffins. Like, where do they get this money? Those look very expensive.
Which that means that the townspeople who had the burial plots must have been on their side once again. That means they probably donated that shit to them.
I know. You never see the townspeople view in all of this.
But it looks like the Cowboys had a lot of money to throw around, though, because of all the crime they committed and stolen from. And
yeah, and they're protesting the Earps, basically. They're like, brutal justice. They've gone too far.
Yeah, I mean, they killed their kin. Some of them are their kin, They killed their kin. But yeah, so they're...
But Ringo is drunk in town, and he's like threatening the Earps.
That's right.
And then we get a second Huckleberry. So Doc is his Huckleberry.
Yeah. Well, we get this great line from Johnny Ringo, which is, I want your blood. I want your soul. And I want it now.
Yeah, he's wasted.
Yeah.
And then so they leave. And then Behan tells Josephine that he wants to take over the town from the Earps. And Josephine tells the Earp wives. And then just when that happens, right when she tells them, somebody busts in and makes an attempt at their wives and shoots but misses them. And then we see Virgil get hit.
Yeah.
Virgil's shot.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Yeah.
And then what happens to Virgil?
Virgil's bleeding there, and you're talking about when it's all raining outside too, and everything.
Yeah.
And
a
Virgil's
storm
bleeding.
comes.
The doctor who we saw helping Holliday earlier is telling Wyatt to hold him down because he's trying to pull that bullet out of the side of him. And
yeah, Virgil's hit, and the doc has to take his arm. I'd want a second opinion. I wouldn't, from an Old West doctor. But anyway.
He's the only doctor in that town. I bet you money.
Doctor.
Other than Doc, who's a dentist.
Exactly. It's like, let's call Doc Holliday. He's like, and then Wyatt's like, no, he's not. No, he's not really a doctor. He just tells that to women.
Yeah. But even if you had a fractured tooth in Tombstone, and he was, or you had a couple of wisdom teeth needed to go, you wouldn't call Doc right away at that, No.
I'd look in the phone book for someone else. Anyway,
yeah.
Doc is too drunk to operate. Anyway, so.
Hello, Tombstone Directory. How can I direct your call? You're looking for a dentist? I'm sorry.
Let me call Doc Holliday. He is not picking up. He might be at the casino, or he might be at the saloon.
Maybe I can find fun in Flagstaff for you right now, which will be 2 days away.
Yeah. So anyway, Wyatt wants to leave town at this point. He's had enough. But then Morgan is like pissed off, at this because he's not really a killer, Morgan. You know what I mean? He shot people at this fight, and he's younger, and he's just not. He didn't know how to take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Then like a couple guys leave the Cowboys. And these become the Earps buddies, and they show up, including Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
Who's Michael Rooker, Jordan? You mentioned him earlier. What do we know?
God, people know him now and more. People know him now from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies as Yondu. Peter Quill's dad. His surrogate father, his adopted father in outer space father, the guy that kidnapped him, did he kidnap? Yeah. Anyway, but good God.
Yeah, great actor.
Walking Dead,
and Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. If you want to ruin an evening, a terrible date movie. That one.
Yeah, back then everybody knew him from Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, one of the first NC-17 movies ever.
Yeah.
And then later on he was in JFK. So at that point nobody barely knew who he was in Tombstone at this point. Anyway. Great actor. Versatile.
Yeah, very ominous storm has come to town, and Morgan is shot in the back.
Oh, that's just as he's about to break the balls, too, so to speak.
He's shooting his
so it kind of looks funny in a way.
But these scenes are kind of shot weird, and this is when I think the movie begins to suffer from some editing issues. And
yes, this movie's been through the editing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So then these things are starting to happen very quickly here.
Because I can tell too that
Morgan gets shot.
I can tell too that when the way he gets shot, that they added that later on in the lab kind of thing. That was an effect added on. That looks like an animated rotoscoping kind of effect.
Yeah.
That they did a pixelated kind of, not pixelated, but rotoscoping kind of thing they did in the lab later on. And an optical lab for that time period before we had computers doing everything yet.
Yeah.
This movie went through the editing because just to remind the audience once again, when Kevin Jarre directed this movie originally, he shot 4 weeks of footage. And there were scenes that didn't even make it back into the movie. And of course, by Directors Guild standards, as I've mentioned before, you have to have directed like 85% of the movie. So I'm sure George Cosmatos reshot a lot of stuff. But this just shows, good God, this just makes me think how much more was left on the floor.
Yeah.
The editing floor that we never saw. That, good God. Please, Disney, what's in the vault? Can I know, please?
Yeah, and speaking of George Cosmatos and directing credits, doesn't Kurt Russell claim to have directed a lot of this film? He's not credited as a director, but...
He doesn't claim to, but everybody else gives him credit for keeping everything together. Yeah, and being a director and a hell of a producer and staying on top of everything and making sure things kept moving because he had a passion for the project. He didn't want it to go south. He didn't want it to fail. He didn't want it to go sloppy in any way.
Yeah.
And the guy has experience. The guy's been acting since he was 10 or 9 or I don't know. Since he was a baby. I don't know. If anybody would know the intricacies of production better, good God, it's Kurt Russell. I mean, you can tell he knows his stuff. On the commentary, when you listen to him talk to Carpenter on the commentary of Escape from New York, Carpenter asks him, why do actors always want to change their lines? And Kurt Russell says, yeah, I know why that is, because they haven't learned their lines. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
That just tells you he knows every intricacy of production because he's grown up with this. He could do it sleepwalking, I imagine. And Kurt Russell did pretty much run this movie sleepwalking because he claimed to have only gotten 4 hours of like sleep a night probably on this production because he was always planning for the next day with George Cosmatos the night before with a shot list apparently. So yeah, he deserves a lot. Anyway, I didn't mean to go that.
I mean, was Kurt Russell producing on this movie at all?
Yeah, because he was because Disney was doing it, was financing it because of him acting it, because of him being the lead. So
he had points or something. He had some.
Yeah, because Disney said we'll do it if Kurt Russell does it. And the other producer, apparently, Andrew Vajana, said you have to also have Val Kilmer in there. That's another stipulation. And because of all that power, Kurt Russell had all the power on his side, so yeah.
Yeah.
He could pick up the phone. I think another producer on the movie named James Jacks also deserves a lot of credit for keeping things moving and on point, too. Apparently, actors would go to James Jacks at night and complain when they cut dialogue. To the point where by the time the third person walked up to him in the bar after hours, he'd be like, I am not cutting. No, I cannot give you your dialogue back.
And I don't want to be sheriff of this town.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so
Morgan is shot in the back, sadly.
And brings back a line that we forgot to mention earlier where, because Virgil was saying, they say when you die, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And, Wyatt says, well, maybe how do you know it's not hell? What, do they got a sign there? But yeah, he says, that thing about the light there? It's not true. And he just dies with an expression.
It's like when you die, man, it's just like game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, you got it. You had to do that because it's Bill Paxton.
I had to because it's Bill Paxton.
Oh, Bill Paxton, R.I.P.
And then Doc Holliday says, when you die, I think you see huckleberries.
You see a field of huckleberries. Huckleberry fields forever. Living is easy with eyes closed. Oh.
Huckleberries and impudent women. Anyway, so... And then on the same pool table, his last act on this earth was ruining a pool table. And there's the doctor's there, and he says... oh, it's too deep. The bullet's too deep. I can't help you. And so it's game over, man, for Morgan. And it's a great scene. And Russell's great in this because, as he's dying on the pool table, it's very touching. His brother's dying. Then Russell Wyatt goes out into the rain. He just walks into the rain covered in his brother's blood, delirious with grief.
Yeah, it's very poetic, this whole scene.
Yeah. Then Josephine comes to comfort him, and he shoos her away. And then he walks up to his wife, and then she turns and walks away.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
They're both kind of standing there like across from each other, like Hanover Street kind of, I don't know, style.
The two women in his life, and that's a bit on the nose here. It's
who do I want more? Who is me? Who do you... which goddess will I flock towards?
I love this scene, but I think a little more could have happened here. It just seemed like
it's very operatic.
Yeah,
in an interesting way, I guess. That's what it is. There's no other way to describe it. It's very operatic. It's very operatic looking.
It's a very good scene. I just kind of wish they'd spent a little more time here, maybe some close-ups, see Kurt Russell's face a little more. I don't know. There's a little more drama to be milked from this scene, but it's perfectly fine. It's good.
It's okay. Although as much as I love this movie and think it's great, I don't think Wyatt would have done that. I don't
Yeah.
think he would have showed emotion. I don't think Wyatt was that type of.
Yeah.
It's that time period too. Men didn't
Yeah.
show emotion back then.
Yeah, it's a very 90s feeling scene in the rain, and you know.
It is a bit 90s emotional.
Yeah. So then Morgan's dead and Virgil's losing an arm, and on his way to take Morgan's body to the graveyard, Wyatt's driving the wagon, and Wyatt stops for no reason in front of the Cowboys. Not the time, Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get some insults from them to drive the plot forward, I guess. I can't think of any reason why he stops and talks to them.
And they walk up, they say one last word to Curly Bill as he's sitting on this porch of this saloon.
Yeah.
And he says, I want you to know it ends here. And Curly Bill says the great line, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Exposition, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Which my wife says to me in the same way sometimes.
Yeah, they're real assholes. Yes. So Virgil's leaving town, and then there's an attempted ambush at the train station from the Clantons, the Cowboys.
One of them being Ike.
Ike Clanton, yeah. And Wyatt stops that, and he shoots a couple of the guys. Ike Clanton survives, I guess. And then he arrests Ike because he's the marshal now. Look at my badge, everybody. Drink every time someone's like, I'm the law now.
I thought he just leaves him there on the dock. Doesn't he just leave him there? I thought, and because doesn't he put his spur in his face? I thought, or am I?
Yeah, he cuts his face with the spur.
Which is something as a kid with toy spurs I always wanted to see in a Western, honestly.
And he says, tell the curs that the law is coming and hell is coming with me as Ike runs away. I guess he sends him off to tell.
I'm coming and hell's coming with me. It's like classic Western line, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love it. And Kurt Russell really delivers those lines well. He's fantastic as Wyatt Earp. You know, regardless of what else is going on in this movie, he is fantastic. He delivers the lines well. He looks the part.
He looks great. He brings all his Kurt Russell-ness that we love to this role. He looks great with the handlebar mustache, and the hair, and he knows how to stand. He looks great in the duster. He looks great in the hat.
Yeah, he cuts Ike with his spur earlier, and he says, it's all in the reflexes. And I love that. I love that.
You know what old Wyatt Earp says? If the spur don't cut, the spur ain't dull. I don't know. I'm just talking out shit on my mind.
And this whole movie, everyone's like, I thought you were dead. And he's like, no. So anyway.
Wyatt Earp, I thought you were taller.
So anyway, he gets, so Ike runs away, tells the rest of the Cowboys, and then he gets posse out. And then we get a montage of Old West killing. Great action scenes. Really great action scenes. You're like, wait a minute. You just feel like there's a lot on the cutting room floor because there's some 2 or 3 second action scenes. Like, it'll look like it took a long time to set that up. So anyway, these are all great action scenes that are just cut into this montage. And I feel a little cheated because I was like, it seems like it took a long time to set these scenes up. So
they're hunting them down. All the Cowboys, Clantons, McLaurys, they're killing them all.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a montage of kills, essentially.
Yeah, a guy gets a rifle in the face on horseback, and Wyatt shoots a man's damn head off. Like, it's getting bloody. But these are just snippets. I'm like, I can tell there's bigger scenes that these are cut from. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just feels like there's something missing here.
I'm pretty sure that you're right, that they are cut from a bigger... I can't help but wonder, once again, what's on the cutting room floor. I remember reading an interview with Kurt Russell where the great question is, is it true there's like a 5-hour cut of Tombstone? Yeah. And Kurt Russell was kind of coy about it. He's like, well, it's not that long, but yeah, there's a lot of extra footage that you didn't see. There's probably... Yeah. He hinted there was still probably an hour of stuff or so you didn't see.
I feel there's a 3-hour movie here. Now, do I want to see a 3-hour version? I don't know, but it's out there.
He claimed that he had a longer rough cut on video in his garage somewhere. Wow. And the interviewer asked him if he ever planned to release it. And he said, I don't know. And he said, well, why? And he said, because I have a life, man.
Yeah. That sounds like something he'd say, yeah.
But that tells you still more. It just makes it even more. It's almost like a conspiracy, how conspiracies happen. It's like you're like, where is this footage of Tombstone that exists? Almost like where's the Eric Stoltz footage from Back to the Future kind of thing, Like, I want to see more of this version, just even if it's good or bad. I want to see it.
It feels like there's definitely a 3-hour movie out there.
It's like discovering a lost document, even if it's irrelevant, I mean,
for fans like Jordan. Some people think this movie is just long enough, if not a little too long. But anyways, So they're chasing down the Cowboys, and then Wyatt somehow runs out into the open and just fearlessly right into as they're being pinned down by the in this firefight by the Cowboys, and just walks out.
No. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Then what happens, man? Then what happens?
He somehow deflects the bullets with his nose.
Yeah, he's just plot armor, ping, ping, ping. Doesn't get hit at all.
And he kills Curly Bill. He shoots Curly Bill, even though Curly Bill's just like literally shoots at him, and you almost think that he shot him like somewhere,
Yeah.
but no, he somehow misses Curly Bill's bullets, and then he kills the guy with Curly Bill, the guy from Northern Exposure, Dan Corbett.
Yeah,
he kills him too. Yeah, and he kills them both dead.
It's a very awkward death scene for both those guys, you know.
Yeah, and then later on, Doc Holliday refers to it as he was walking on water.
It's a very strange death scene, but okay, movie over, right? Curly Bill is dead, right?
Well, Doc is sick.
No. Oh, wait. Oh, my bad. I thought that was a natural place to end this movie. Oh, okay.
We forgot about Johnny Ringo.
Oh, Johnny Ringo's okay.
He's still alive.
He's still alive.
We got to get him. We got to get rid of him at some point.
Exactly. Okay, so Johnny Ringo is now running the band now that Curly Bill had an inglorious and anticlimactic death.
Even though as many times I've seen it, though, I get confused here on things because Doc gets sick like twice at the end here, and then comes back twice, like some Rasputin. I don't know.
Editing.
And
yes.
Yeah, Doc has gotten sick.
And then we see the Cowboys riding up, and then Jordan, Mr. Fabian is killed. He's dead, and then Josephine has him in his arms in a stagecoach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and she tells him, "It's whatever you have here. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's violent. It's ugly," or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Sorry, Dana Delaney. We didn't mean to enjoy all the killing. Watching this movie, I feel bad, Dana Delaney. I'm sorry."
Yeah, it's like 100 people have died, but Billy Zane, who was in 2 scenes, died, and now that's movie. You've gone too far.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I get it. I don't get it. So we're all sad because Billy Zane is dead, but who is really sad is Jason Priestley's character.
Yeah.
And he rides off.
He decides he's going to leave the movie right now. He's going to ride off into the sunset so that he doesn't have to get killed by anybody on screen.
He's smart.
That's right.
So Dana Delaney's, she's pretty much pissed off at Sheriff Behan because now he's just full on out in the open riding with the Cowboys. He's not even hiding it anymore. And so she's like, okay, we're no longer a thing. I'm breaking up with you. In front of everybody. Yes. Like, that's a harsh diss. Like, in front of all the Cowboys? Damn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, her and Behan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Behan, who he wish he had something, but nothing. Yeah. He's back to his Behan now.
Just him and his Behan.
Alone with his Behan.
Yeah, he's a B-hitch. Talk to the Behan. Yeah. But I feel like this is when I start feeling like there's reels missing in this movie. Like you talked about Doc Holliday getting sick and things. Then Wyatt Earp and his boys, see the Cowboys and look through this spyglass and are like, well, we're outnumbered, right?
Yeah.
And then Doc is getting sicker by the minute. So they take him where, Jordan? Whose house do they take him to?
To Henry Hooker's house. Hi, I'm Henry Hooker, played by Charlton Heston. Don't worry, we'll take care of him. So yeah, they take him to Charlton Heston's house.
Yeah, and
in the movie, not really Charlton Heston's house.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
might as well be.
Oh yeah, because Charlton Heston was told by the NRA that they were banned guns, so he was like, "I don't know if I should let you in my house."
Yeah,
and then so Charlton Heston, whom we last spoke about in Soylent Green, the Soylent Green episode,
the classic Soylent Green.
Yeah,
Tombstone. Didn't I play Wyatt Earp in that movie?
He says, Tombstone pizza is made of people. It's people. And then Josephine somehow shows up for plot reasons. And then she and Wyatt have a moment. And he apologizes for being an asshole when his brother was dying. Remember like when my brother was brutally shot in the back? Sorry for being a dick.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for running out in the rain covered in blood when I should have been already taking a bath and, and being like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. And she's like, it's okay. I get it. No, I thought that was really weird.
I did that in front of a girl. Well, I had blood on me, but I did that in front of a girl. I did, what am I supposed to do in my late 20s? And, she was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? God, you're scaring me. I'm out of here. Yeah. Bye.
Worst date ever.
She did not have a Josephine reaction. No.
Mm-hmm. No,
not at all.
You should have been covered with blood just to save your ass in that moment.
That's why Josephine Earp is a dream woman in this movie, honestly. She is like every man's dream woman, honestly.
Yeah. Then they're hiding out in the house, and then one of the cowboys shows up dragging Michael Rooker's character's body.
Yeah.
Like, he is dead. It's pretty brutal. They show his body, and it's pretty sad.
I think Michael Rooker was playing the body in this scene, too.
I know. He goes all the way, Michael Rooker. He doesn't mess around, dude. That's real method right there. That's real acting.
Michael Biehn, I'm name dropping her from another podcast. Michael Biehn told this story, though, in a recent podcast with Michael Rosenbaum, Inside You. He said Michael Rooker came head to head with George Cosmatos at one point over something. George Cosmatos, he didn't like the way George Cosmatos was treating him and other people, apparently, and he got right up in Cosmatos' face, apparently, and was ready to throw down.
Wow.
Ready to skin that smoke wagon and see what happens. But yeah, it got ugly, apparently, between them. Like,
wow.
Which I would imagine, I don't know. Rooker looks like somebody you wouldn't want to cross. He looks like somebody sweet, or don't cross him. He might turn into a shark.
Or he might turn into a serial killer. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, or he might turn
into
a serial killer. Or he might turn into Dale from Walking Dead. Oh, wait, is that the right one?
Dale's brother.
Dale, or his brother Larry, or his other brother Larry, something like that.
Anyway, so his character is dead. McMaster's is dead. And the cowboy invites them into a trap, basically. Hey, come here at this time so we can shoot you. Come on, man. Come on, dude.
Yeah. It's almost like bullies meeting on a playground kind of thing.
Yeah. But Wyatt's
being it's high noon meeting here.
It's high noon. And so Doc is bedridden, and he has a great scene with Wyatt. One of many scenes here at the end of the movie. And he's like, Wyatt, you can't beat him, pretty much.
Yeah, Wyatt says, I realize, he says, I realize I can't beat, or he says, I can't beat him, can I? Goddamn, Val Kilmer gets all the best lines in these scenes. A lot of good lines. Yeah, lines that make me emotional almost because they strike deep. I don't know if this was Val Kilmer improvising or Kevin Jarre dialogue or a combination of both, but yeah.
Yeah, so Doc says he's too sick to ride with him.
Yeah.
And Wyatt gives him a badge.
Oh, that's right. But he has that great line about Johnny Ringo I forgot to mention, where he says somebody like Ringo's got a hole in it, and it can never be filled.
Yeah, Wyatt says, like, why does Johnny Ringo? It's great dialogue, but it's a bit much. But he's like, why do men like Johnny Ringo do what they do? Like, what? He says
revenge for being born. Like, how fucked up is that? Like, this, know, I don't want to be here. Fuck all of y'all.
Hey, Jordan, some men just want to watch the world burn, Jordan.
Yeah, it's like total anarchy all over again. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's, and I love that. You're right. I love that dialogue. And Johnny Ringo just can't be fixed. He's just a murderer.
It kind of defines a murderer and a thief like all at once. It's like it almost defines like why they are what they are sometimes,
I love that. That's so many good lines of dialogue and thoughts and things that they really don't explore as much as they should. This movie has so many great ideas.
It's like Solomonic words there too, even. That's the interesting thing about it. Coming from a movie, it's like Yoda-like words coming out of Val Kilmer's mouth in these scenes.
Yeah, I hate to say, but this movie is amazing dialogue, looking for a kind of a better structure, a better movie to live in ways. Yeah. Wyatt's going out to surely to his death to be ambushed by Johnny Ringo. But then, Jordan, what happens? We see Johnny Ringo for Wyatt. Then what happens?
Alone in this wooded area, these wooded tree areas, waiting for Wyatt. And then we see
a figure
slowly emerge, and it's Doc coming out of nowhere wearing a duster, smoking a cigarette, and then suddenly you can tell, and then they're talking, him and Johnny, and
we get our third Huckleberry.
We get our third, I'm your Huckleberry. That's just my game.
It's a great standoff. They have a beautiful standoff.
And you kind of see Johnny getting nervous here, like, because he realizes how unafraid Doc is. Like, Doc doesn't care whether he's going to live or die here, because he's got nothing to lose, clearly.
Yeah, it's like he sees a ghost in a way.
Yeah. Doc comes like Doc is like Johnny Ringo meeting death face to face.
Yeah.
And paying a penance right there for all his sins, you know.
Just a great exchange, a great dialogue. And then, of course, you know, Doc kills him, right? And then we get more cowboy killing montages. Great horseback riding from Kilmer and Kurt Russell. This part of the movie feels like it repeats itself a little bit.
I'm surprised we didn't have more Robert Mitchum narration here going, and there was many, many killings and many, many more killings.
And many more adventures.
Wyatt and Josephine caught up and got married and lived happily ever after.
I know.
And then Wyatt died in Los Angeles in 1929. Tom Mix wept at his funeral, you know.
Yeah. We'll save that. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, so good horse riding from Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell this whole movie. Like,
oh, yeah.
Really. There's one point where they, like, grab hands. They, like, shake hands on horseback. That did not look easy.
Yeah.
And then, so later on, we get a really continuation of the friendship scene between these two again.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the priest at the hospital reading Doc his last rites.
Oh, yeah, this is where
I'm unsure of time passage at this point. You know, I'm like, is it 6 months? Is it a week? Is it 2 days? I don't know what's going on here. But yeah,
we're supposed to be in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, where Doc Holliday actually did die. But I don't know. I think I saw in the History Buff channel on YouTube that Wyatt Earp did visit him at one point when he was on his deathbed there, but it wasn't when he actually died.
Mm-hmm.
So this is dramatic license once again here.
This movie takes a lot of that, but it is a touching scene of friendship between two men.
Yeah.
And we get a very strange deathbed incest confession from Doc.
All I ever wanted was my cousin.
I was like, really?
Yeah. I think that was true, too. I think that was actually true. Historically true.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing to put in a movie.
Yeah, in a Disney movie.
A Disney movie?
I mean, Hollywood Pictures movie. But yeah, fun trivia fact I learned this from Val Kilmer's Facebook page that I used to follow. That Val Kilmer had ice under him in this scene to add more effect for him as an actor, to make him more cold and shivering. And
oh wow,
you can see it in his dialogue and face. He looks like he's going blue at some point. Honestly, I don't know if it's just the makeup. Honestly, he's lying on a bed of ice though.
Yeah, he looks great this whole movie, being sick, sweating, and the acting sells it. Really sells it. Yeah. And then he tells Wyatt, basically, the really touching scene. He tells Wyatt to give up the hunt for the Cowboys, to go get Josephine and leave. Yeah. Live your life.
Go marry that dusky actress. Go live that life. Yeah, and he says,
yeah.
But he says, Wyatt says, I just wanted a normal life, Doc. That's all I ever wanted. And Doc says, there is no normal life. There's just life. Go live it.
It's just life, man.
Yeah. That's the truth. I mean, there's just life. Whether good or bad, there's just life, you know. Wyatt, there's just life.
It's just life.
Words of wisdom.
It's sad. It's really sad.
And an Oscar.
Yes.
Well, you know, actually, Val Kilmer, because he's a method actor, he was pronounced dead for a minute in this scene. No, just joking. I just made that up.
Anyway, too soon. Anyway, so he goes to Wyatt goes to Josephine, professes his love, and says he wants to move to California, and then he dances with Josephine in the snow.
Yeah, and they talk about room service again, because that was like a joke they had earlier about how they wanted to love room service. Now, I don't know if they actually had
couples joke.
Did they have room service back then, though?
Fun fact, Jordan, I did some research, and room service was invented in 1912.
What?
It was.
This movie? How dare this movie? God damn it. Sorry, I'm having a Chris Farley reaction here.
Rooms were only invented in 1875. So, anyways, this movie is not historically accurate. No, I don't know. I'm sure.
I thought you were serious, man.
I'm sure a fancy hotel might bring food up to you, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sure they did.
They were staying at the Tombstone Hilton.
But they didn't call it room service, yes. Anyway, so, yeah. And then that's the movie? That's Jordan? That's the end of it? Except we get an epilogue here, right? So somebody woke up Robert Mitchum again.
Oh, yes. By the way, Wyatt Earp died in Los Angeles, 1929. No, Bob. Oh, Tom Mix wept at the funeral. Can you edit that? Can you edit that? Okay. Can we get one more out of you, Bob? One more? I don't know. Let me take a drink. Tom Mix wept.
So anyway, like the Clantons apparently had this. We all get this in this postscript that the Clantons had been broken. Ike Clanton died 2 years later. Maddie died of a drug overdose. What?
Yeah.
Virgil moved to California.
Maddie died 4 years before Jim Morrison.
Yeah. And Wyatt
no,
and
4 years after Jim Morrison. I'm sorry. After she had an affair with Jim Morrison. No.
And then Wyatt and Josephine had many adventures together. What is this, man?
Maybe, I mean, was her family really rich? Because we don't know. Because Josephine embellished also.
Yeah, and he says, I don't have any money. All that money I stole / earned in the beginning of this movie, I somehow blew through it because we have no idea about the passage of time and how long. Was this a week? How long does this story take place over?
I heard that he wasn't rich by that point, apparently, though. He didn't put money away like he should, apparently.
No, probably not.
I don't know how people thought back then as far as that went, putting money away or whatever. Yeah. But I heard, that he didn't, at the time, I heard he didn't have money. That wasn't like maybe historically accurate.
If he's a sheriff, it probably, or marshal, didn't probably pay that much, but
he was a gambler though. But yeah,
true.
I think he just, maybe it was the gambling. Maybe the gambling made him less rich. Maybe he was a gambler through and through, and
Yeah, but this story gambles on a plot that kind of has a weird anticlimactic ending and not really a resolution. Like they had to cinch it up at the end, suture the end of this movie with this epilogue of just like, and then everybody lived happily ever after except for the people that died, or really just how everybody died.
We got a Frank Capra-esque moment though. They're dancing in the snow, and
I like that. We get a weird tacked on ending with the Earps walking together and Doc Holliday over the end credits.
Oh yeah, it looks like they pulled the outtakes from the scene where they're walking to the OK Corral, basically.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, so what did audiences think of this movie? Was this movie a huge hit?
It was, apparently. It was a big hit. And then the weird thing was, it had a movie called Wyatt Earp come right after it that didn't do very well, starring Kevin Costner. It beat Wyatt Earp, actually. And it's funny because Costner tried to stop this movie from being made, apparently, when it was over at Universal, when Kevin Jarre took it to Universal originally. And apparently the weird thing is they wanted Kevin Costner originally, but Costner already had that Wyatt Earp movie on his own.
Yeah.
And he said, no, that Wyatt Earp movie is not going to get made if I'm at Universal.
Yeah.
This is what he said, apparently. Something to the degree of, you're not going to get me for Waterworld.
Yeah.
Which ended up being the most expensive movie ever for Universal, of course.
Wow. So anyway, so on a budget of $25 million, Tombstone pulled in 56, I believe, in domestic receipts, 56.5 in domestic receipts, and 73.2 internationally. That's pretty decent. I think it was really everywhere on cable, and it was everywhere on video.
I forget that it had such a low, 25 million was low budget by that point, though. That's kind of low budget. That's about double what RoboCop cost years before.
And so anyway, speaking of Wyatt Earp, that on a budget of $63 million made 55.9.
Yeah. And Wyatt Earp was trying to be more of an epic Wyatt Earp movie, which I guess proved why that was not going to work. And I don't want that to be mistaken as I'm slamming Kevin Jarre. I want to see Kevin Jarre's footage, but maybe that's what they were afraid of, it becoming what Wyatt Earp became,
Yeah, maybe people just had enough of or it was probably confusing, had enough of the Wyatt Earp story by that point.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. I thought this movie, just remembering from when I was young, I remember this being a much bigger film, but I guess it really wasn't that huge. I don't know how long it was in theaters for, but it made money, but there wasn't a Tombstone 2. You know what I mean?
Funny you say that. They wanted to do a prequel, apparently, where it was going to be set in Dodge City.
Oh, really?
Disney commissioned a script for it, but after 3 months, it didn't go anywhere, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know. But I think it was the guy that they hired to doctor up the script on Tombstone. I forgot the guy's name, but
Yeah, it would have cost a lot of money to try to get everybody back for a sequel. No, I don't think it made
It wasn't.
sequel
It was
money.
going to be a prequel now, mind you.
Yeah.
It was going to be set in Dodge City before they showed
Yeah,
up.
or a
but
prequel.
Although,
It
yeah,
didn't-
I guess that would have been. They would have gotten everybody back by that point. Hopefully, it would have only taken a year after to make, right, when everybody was still young looking. So
Yeah, but everybody would have wanted more money, I'm sure.
yeah. Oh, you mean it would have been expensive? Absolutely.
And I don't think it made that kind of money. It doubled its budget. That's not like, oh, wow, let's throw some more money at this. You know, usually there's diminishing returns with sequels. But anyway.
Disney was probably like, let's make it for $30 million this time. Let's not spend any money.
So anyway, Jordan, what kind of rating do you give this film?
I'm thinking Chamber of Six Bullets being a perfect movie. I will give this 5 out of 6 silver bullets coming out of a Colt chamber revolver because it's a miracle that it does work, even though it's botched in the editing. Clearly, I will agree with you on that. It is botched up in the editing a bit, but there are some moments in this movie which just seal the deal for you as the audience. I think there's just a lot of great moments. And this is a lot of acting, like with that close range. There's a lot of acting power here once again. It's a delicious ensemble of acting power here. It's like a banquet buffet of actors here.
This is a tale of two actors carrying a movie, Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer.
Absolutely.
Great. But the movie itself, the movie that they're in, suffers from a little too much plot and yet not enough at the same time. Like the third act of this movie falls apart. Like it should have ended or something right when Curly Bill is killed. They should have built that up to being sort of the end and this other stuff. It feels like it's just sort of fizzles.
Yeah.
You know, the beats aren't there. I don't know with the editing.
What kind of rating do you give it, having said all that?
I give it, now you're doing me out of 6. I don't know.
I hate to go that way again.
6? Okay. I guess I have to do some math here, but I'm thinking 5 out of 6. Yeah. 5 out of 6, 4.5 out of 6. Huckleberries or bloody tuberculosis coughs. Ooh, gross.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Okay, Huckleberries. But no, I almost feel this should have been 2 movies in a way. Like ended at the OK Corral, and then the sequel is
oh my God,
that would have been that happens after.
That would have been the genius way to do it. Yeah, release it as 2 movies like apart.
Yeah,
I bet that's the way they would have gone had it been made in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
2.5 hour movies.
Yeah, it just sort of end the first movie with the death of Morgan and Virgil being injured, and then instead of a sloppy third act, and then it's like, okay, the next movie's about Wyatt's revenge.
The Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp was supposed to be done as a mini-series originally, and it probably would have worked on that level the way it was done. It probably would have been done better that way.
Yeah, because if you're going to tell this whole story, there's a lot of story here. And this movie rushes into that third act with not knowing where it's going, it feels.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's rated R, but you've got this weird, almost sanitized version of things.
It is weird.
Like we mentioned before, because it's like there's some bloody kills, but then sort of they're trying to make everyone look very black and white. These guys are good and these guys are bad. And it's not exactly like that. And I think it would have benefited with a little more historicity, a little more realism there, and showing that, okay, I don't know how marketable that would have been, but these guys are all kind of shady in a way.
I think in that sense, it's more like the classic Hollywood Western in that sense.
Yeah.
It's bloody yet slightly sanitized compared to what came before it, like the Peck and Paw era of movies, the spaghetti Western movies, where it got really existentialist. And in those movies, you can't tell who's the good guy and bad guy.
Yeah.
It's where it gets really interesting. It would have been interesting if they'd gone that route with this movie too.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to make the classic Hollywood Western, but then they're trying to update it with more modern sensibilities and a little bit of grittiness, but they don't go far enough. And that then you end up with characters that you, like you said, you don't really know who to root for. And they do things that are inconsistent with their characters sometimes. Like it's hard to see Kurt Russell's character or Wyatt blow someone's head off at the end of the movie, and they don't really give that scene enough space to be like, what was the context? It just looks like he's randomly killing somebody, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I thought you were the law here. What's going on? It doesn't earn that moment or whatever that is, and I think that's all editing. I think, like we were saying, there's a 3-hour movie here somewhere that probably made more sense but I don't know the script, the directing. There's a wonderful movie here that it just falls shy of being. It's a very fun, good movie because it's the 90s. It is an epic, classic movie, but it could have been a lot better.
When is Kurt Russell gonna release the Snyder cut?
Release
the
Huckleberry cut.
The Snyder cut of Tombstone. Where is it? No, seriously. I mean, like, I can't help but wonder what kind of footage they have in the vaults. Like, what was on the floor? What's on the video that's in Kurt Russell's garage? What did the rough cut of this movie look like? Yeah. What form was it in? Even how many versions of this did they go through? I wonder.
Yeah. I just wonder, what other cuts of movies does Kurt Russell have in his garage? Is there like a better Escape from LA out there? You know what I mean? A 4-hour version of that.
Is there a better edit of the movie Soldier that he did with Paul Anderson? I'm just saying. Yes.
Where is it? Anyway.
Where is it? Does he also have the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever in his garage? Is it all back to Kurt Russell? There's a conspiracy here, man.
It's like Kurt Russell's garage is like the Hollywood Vatican archives. Like, who knows what's in there? Get a life, people.
He just kept things from the studios.
You know what old Kurt Russell says when people wonder what's in his garage? Get a life, people.
He has the real Maltese Falcon in his garage. Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't own the real one. No, it's Kurt Russell's garage. It's in Kurt Russell's garage. So is the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Jordan, it's been great talking to you about movies, specifically Tombstone, a classic 90s Western.
Yeah, I love this movie. Despite all of its flaws in the editing, I could still watch this movie once a year. It's still great with all its flaws, and somehow it's miraculously great, I guess.
There's so much to love. Just the chemistry and the relationship between Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer alone is reason to see the movie.
Yeah, Kilmer and Kurt. Yeah, you're right. That's the thing that separates this movie too. I have to say before we close is every other movie version before this, they always had Doc and Wyatt at odds. There's this movie called Gunfight at OK Corral with James Garner and Kirk Douglas, and they play them like as like rivals at first in the movie, who become friends, which is like, huh? But yeah, they always play them as at odds with each other, which is never in any of the history. They're always friends because he saved his life, apparently.
Yeah, this is a buddy story that kind of has too much story around it, I think, in a way, because that's what really works for the film. But anyway, all right, Jordan, I really appreciate you recommending this. I hadn't seen this in many years, and it's my shame that I haven't. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for
Wyatt, I am rolling. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, hell, it's like maybe we should talk about another Western at some point on this podcast. But yeah.
Oh, I love Westerns. Yeah, let's do it. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. We appreciate every single one of you and our new listeners.
Thank you.
Yeah, listen to some of our old episodes. If you like this, feel free to rate us and comment, all that good stuff. And Jordan, this has been
The Robots Took My Podcast. I'm your Huckleberry.
All trailers, clips, music, or any other copyrighted material are used sparingly, edited from their original forms, and used for the purposes of criticism, discussion, commentary, and education about these fine films.